The 2017 Lexus RC F GT3 represents the earliest homologation model for the GT3 class after several years of testing in the Super GT series in the GT300 class. As one of the longest serving GT3 cars, let's see if it can still keep up with the newer models. The Lexus RC was unveiled at the 2013 Tokyo Motor Show and is the two-door version of the IS with a shorter wheelbase but is longer overall. It is a versatile car with many variations, ranging from fully petrol to hybrid, and has engines ranging from 2 liter to 5 liter in displacement. The model represented in Gran Turismo Sport and Gran Turismo 7 is the Lexus RC F from 2014. Which is the naturally aspirated 5-liter variant equipped with an 8-speed automatic, with 476 PS and a weight of 1790 kilograms. The Lexus RC F GT3 2017 was added to Gran Turismo Sport in March 2018 as part of update 1.15. The engine displacement has increased to 5.4 liters, power increased to 543 PS, and the weight has decreased to 1300 kilograms. The gearbox has been changed to a 6-speed sequential gearbox. The car is available in Brand Central in 4 livery variants, partly due to GT World Series champion Igor Fraga competing in the GT300 class of Super GT, in which it still competes today. Next to Super GT, the car is also used in the WEC and IMSA series. However, it is rumored that the Lexus shall soon be replaced with the upcoming Toyota GR GT3 model. In the 2026 manufacturers ranking, recorded on 27th of June 2026, Lexus ranked in P23 overall with a total of 450 points over all 3 classes. In the highest class, GT1, it was placed in P24 with 104.5 points. Lexus was even placed dead last in the GT2 class with 88 points. However, Lexus is popular in the GT3 class, being placed in P10 with 257.5 points. Lexus competes with 2 cars, the other being the Lexus RC F GT3 prototype 2016, although the 2017 variant is far more popular and is also used in the Gran Turismo World Series. With now 12 years of competition in motorsport, what can the car do on track? Where are its strengths and weaknesses? Let's drive it. The Lexus has the standard ride height of 60mm at the front and 70mm at the back, and frequencies of 3.6 Hz at the front and 3.2 Hz at the back. The downforce levels of 425 at the front and 575 at the rear mean that the car is in the high downforce range. As an FR car, the weight distribution is mainly on the front, as the weight is placed 54 to 46. If we look at the engine and torque curves, the engine curve moves up linearly until around 7000 rpm. It then stays at peak power until 7500 rpm before dropping. The torque curve peaks around 5000 to 6500 rpm. This means that the car can be revved out to go faster, but it still has good potential for fuel saving without much of a time loss. The gearbox ratio shows an ideal shifting point at 7000 rpm. With 6 gears, the first gear reaches up to 120 kph. The first gear will be too long, I can say this much already. With each gear change, the next gear should land between 5000 to 6000 rpm whenever you decide to shift. Now that we know how the car works, I will test the acceleration capabilities. In the first test, I will drive on Tokyo Expressway east clockwise in a custom race with a Group 4 opponent behind me, with a flying start. There's not much to say for the first test. We set an initial time of 24.569. The important settings are BOP on, all setup options except brake bias set off, tire wear times 1, fuel depletion times 1, same conditions set on, and we will use medium racing tires and drive with bumper cam. As expected, there is not too much time improvement. We end up with a 24.406. From the point the game releases me, I will stay on the lane I started and drive until the first sector ends, and note down the time. This is about the same time improvement as before. This is a 24.262. I will repeat these tests several times and with different shifting points. Once at 25% of the ref bar, 50%, 75%, 90%, 100%, and as a last test, rev it out as much as possible. Another improvement. This time it's a 24.175. If there is a wide difference between 100% rev bar and maximum revs, I will do a further test at half point. For this car, this was not necessary. Another slight improvement, we end up with a 24.139. All times will be noted down and you will see what effects shifting at the right point has for the car. In the end, only the fastest time out of the set times will count. Now we're driving with full revs. If we interpreted the power curve correctly and the car does what it should do, it should improve even further. And indeed it does. We settle with a 24.025. The Lexus ends up in third position. It is the first max rever where you need to trust your guts or have a RPM number visible. In the second test, I will accelerate from a standstill and at the ideal shifting point which we saw in the previous test. If you will drive a race or championship that has standing starts, this will be important because some cars have long first gears, which means that they will take longer to accelerate and you might be losing positions at the start. As expected, the Lexus starts slowly. The first gear is way too long and even though the power curve is not bad at low power, it just loses time. We end up this test with a 28.767. The Lexus is the slowest starter so far. Once more, at least you can just stamp the pedal without thinking. Next, we will do 2 top speed tests. For the first test, I will open a private online lobby and select Special Stage Route X. The important settings are BOP on, all setup options except brake bias set off, tire wear times 1, fuel depletion times 1, same conditions set on, and we will use medium racing tires and drive with bonnet cam. The straight is long enough for the car to reach its natural top speed after 10 km. However, the car should stay stable within the last 600 meters and not lose speed. If it does, I'll drive to the other side of the oval and drive a few more kilometers until the speed sets. The Lexus lost 1 kph after reaching 9,400 meters. So I'm going to drive the curve before doing another test. Despite having low power, the top speed is surprising. I thought it would be in much more trouble due to the shape of the car, but it seems the drag coefficient is low enough to be fast on the straights. The car is also in peak power range, which helps a lot. We end up at 279 kph. This places the Lexus in P3, 1 kph below the M6, but faster than the Mitsubishi and Suzuki. For the second test, we'll change the track to the Daytona Tri-Oval and drive 2 laps. The settings stay the same except for the track. The first lap does not count as it is meant to get up to speed. The second lap will count and the lap time will be recorded. This test is done to check how much speed the cars lose during cornering, which has to do with the cornering itself, the aerodynamics and the engine curves of the cars. On a personal note, doing these videos is extremely time consuming. Especially when I come home with little to no energy, it is difficult to write the script, do the graphics and then place everything in the video. I made many mistakes I still have to fix. Anyway, enough about me. We end the lap in the oval with a 52.355. Once again, the Lexus ends up in P3, behind the M6 and in front of the Mitsubishi. The next 3 tests will be quite straightforward. I will test the cars on track and record the lap times. The important settings are BOP on, all setup options except brake bias set off, tire wear ×1, fuel depletion ×1, same conditions set on, weak shortcut penalties, and we will use medium racing tires and drive with cockpit cam. For each test I will drive 1 out lap and 10 timed laps, and I will do this twice. This means that each car gets 20 timed laps. Additionally, the total of best sector times and the optimal lap time will be counted instead of the fastest driven lap, as this provides a far fairer statement. Genuinely, a fastest lap can have errors in it. This will be eliminated through this method. The low speed BOP test will take place in Brands Hatch. This track was chosen due to most low speed BOP tracks having primarily slow speed corners, whereas you see many mid-speed corners here as well. The Lexus is one of these cars that have the strongest stats at the low speed BOP, and it shows. The car feels quite good, especially in fast corners. Also, with these power figures, low speed corners are not much of a problem as well. In the end, we set an optimal time of 1:23.893. This puts the Lexus into P1 with quite some gap, 3/10 faster than the other cars. Impressive performance by an almost 10-year-old car. For the medium speed BOP test I have chosen Interlagos as the track to go to. Interlagos, at least in Formula 1, is a circuit where most cars and drivers are extremely close together in lap times. While the first section tests mid and high speed cornering, the second section tests mechanical grip, whereas the last section tests acceleration and top speed. You might notice that I say the same things in my videos at the same time. I'm using pre-recorded scripts to always explain to newcomers what these tests are about. You might have heard it in the explanation video already, but it never hurts saying this twice. With the medium speed BOP, the weight has increased by 5 kilograms. The car feels good around here, with its strengths in the medium and fast speed corners. However, I think it is super difficult nailing the second sector. We set an optimal lap time of 1:32.684. The Lexus also tops this ranking here with a gap of almost 16 hundredths of a second to the RX Vision. For the high-speed BOP test, I have chosen the Autodromo Nazionale Monza as our test circuit. While the first section tests acceleration and mechanical grip, medium and high-speed cornering is tested in the second and third section. Another reason why this circuit was chosen is to test how good the cars are over curbs, as Monza has quite some aggressive curbs to master, which some cars can react allergic to. The Lexus is now lighter, but, more importantly, has less power than before. The car loses time in the low-speed corners due to the weight distribution and in the traction zones due to the long first gear. Additionally, the power loss can be felt. Anyway, we set an optimal lap of 1:49.569. In stark contrast, the Lexus ends up in last position so far at Monza. The power decrease and track characteristic is not helping the case. The next test will bring us to Dragon Trail Seaside for the endurance test. This test determines how the car fares with fuel depletion and tire wear. The important settings are BOP on, all setup options except brake bias set off, tire wear times 5, fuel depletion times 3, same conditions set on, and we will use soft racing tires and drive with cockpit cam. I will drive race pace here, which means that I will drive a bit safer than in the previous sessions, drive round the lines, and look if I can save fuel if the car allows it. This circuit was chosen because it is a medium speed BOP circuit, because it has all types of corners, and it is a fair circuit considering tire wear where neither front heavy FR cars nor rear heavy MR or RR cars are at a disadvantage. I will skip the major part of that stint and I'll see you later on when the tires are at its end. I am going to finish the 7th lap now. The front left tire is almost dead and this has happened super quick. But this was to be expected with this weight distribution. I'm sounding like a broken record, but the understeer is becoming unbearable. After driving the first chicane, the tire is dead. I will stop and record the distance and fuel usage. I have driven 7.2 laps. This does not appear to be a lot. The Lexus is even worse in tire wear than the Mitsubishi. It goes into last position, but I'm sure there will be even worse cars. There are 55 liters left in the tank. We started with 100 liters, this means we used 45 liters. Divided by the 7.2 laps driven, this results in 6.25 liters per lap. I was pushing here with the fastest shifting point. If you drive normally with 100% rev bar, the Lexus is actually quite efficient. The setup tests are useful for two reasons. Firstly, it shows how the car is set up and how a few clicks can make the car behave completely differently. Secondly, it shows what potential can be unlocked if you have races and championships where more setup changes are allowed. I will do two setup tests. The first test will be a repeat of the Special Stage Route X top speed test with all setup options allowed. There, the car will be set to minimum downforce and the top speed will be recorded. Due to the engine power curves at different stock downforce levels, the results can differ widely. The Lexus gains 8 kph due to the reduced downforce. Once more, the power band is helping to improve the top speed as much as it does. That's another 8 kph win. The second test will be a repeat of the medium BOP test in Interlagos with all setup options allowed. All cars will be set to medium downforce levels on the front and rear, and I will do some suspension and LSD changes for my preference. In some cases, drivability will improve, and in others it will get worse. How much faster or slower the cars can get is up to the standard setting and can differ widely for each car. The downforce levels have been reduced to 400 and 600, and the other settings have been changed to my liking. Honestly, there is no improvement at all. The low speed corners already felt good, and the ability in fast corners has been hampered a bit. So the stock setup is not too bad already, which shows how little improvement that standardized setup brings. But that doesn't mean that touching the setup will make the car worse. It always depends on what is needed. Despite my ramblings, there is still a very slight improvement. We end up with a 132.629. With the normalized setup, we gain 0.055 seconds, a very minimal gain. The car didn't feel better, so it's no surprise. Considering the lap time, the Lexus still stays on top, but the gap shrinks a lot. If setup is allowed, the Lexus might struggle. This test consists of 3 steps. First, another top speed test on Special Stage Route X will be done. This time the BOP is set to off, and the cars are set up manually to have 5 to 7% more power, depending on the maximum power output of the cars. The setup will be the same as it is when the BOP is on, so stock. Like in the setup tests, this is to see how much each car improves in top speed. The Lexus gained 6% more power in this test. With more power, it does not win as much time as when the downforce is reduced. The car increases its top speed by 7 kph. With that, the Lexus goes up to 286 kph and 1.167 kph faster per percent power advantage. Additionally, acceleration tests will be done, both with flying and standing starts, and with an Unimog as an opponent. The shifting points will be the optimal shifting points as determined in the first acceleration test. Due to the rather low power figures, the Lexus does not win as much time as others. We end up the acceleration test with 23.446. The Lexus is 0.579 seconds faster. With each percent power increase, we gain 0.096 seconds. For the standing start, you can still start by pressing the accelerator all through. The first gear is still too long, so not all problems will be fixed through the faster start, but there will be a bigger time gain than with other cars. The Lexus ends up with a time of 27.984. The Lexus gains 0.783 seconds, improving by 0.131 seconds with each percent power increase. The third test will be a repeat of the high-speed BOP test in Monza, again with BOP set to off and the increased power output. Another 20 hot laps will be driven and the optimal time will be noted. Then the lap time will be compared to the high-speed BOP lap time and the value for each percent power increase will be noted down. With this test, you can see how much the car improves by giving 1% more power. The acceleration zones out of the Rettifilo and Roccia chicanes should be less of a problem for the Lexus now, as there is now more power in first gear. It will still need more power though, or a shorter first gear. We end up with a lap time of 148.128. The time improvement is 1.441 seconds and 0.24 seconds per percent more power. Another fine improvement. The last test will be another repeat of the high-speed BOP test in Monza, with the same settings as before with the increased power test. This time the initial BOP power output from the BOP will be set again. However, at least for the Group 3 tests, the weight will be increased by 35 kilograms for each car. This is because the highest ballast weight due to the high-speed BOP is 165 kilograms. Another 20 hot laps will be driven and the optimal time will be noted down. Then the lap time will be compared to the high-speed BOP lap time and the value for weight increase will be noted down. Basically, the difference in lap times will be divided by 7 to have a 5 kg time loss. With this testing method, you can see how much slower the car gets by adding 5 kilograms of weight. The Lexus does not feel any different with more weight than without. It feels like the weight is rather helping with traction without losing too much power. In the end, we achieve an optimal time of 1:49.892, which is 0.323 seconds slower than with the BOP. With every 5 kg weight increase, the time loss is minimal with 0.046 seconds. The Lexus is almost immune to weight increase. The Lexus RC F GT3 2017 turns out to be a car that is specialized for slower circuits with faster corners. This is due to a good car balance and favorable BOP figures with the low speed and medium speed circuits. It does struggle a bit on the high speed circuits as it has less power. Acceleration and top speed are average and it struggles in the long run due to bad front tire wear. With low fuel and tire factors, the Lexus will however be a decent weapon in these races. I hope you now learned a bit more about the Lexus and you know how to use it to your advantage. The next car will be the reason why the cars cannot get any slower than they are now, as it is already at 70% power. I hope you find this video series interesting and I'd love to hear from you in the next video.